Okay, so a couple of weeks ago there was a discussion post somewhere in the group that resulted in some discussion or other, and I mentioned that I was about to convert a Hornby Pug to DCC, and I think it was one of the group admins requested that I do a video of said project, and here we are. So first off, just make sure that's focused. There we go, it is now. So first off, all I'm using decoder wise is this 6-wire decoder. It's a lace DCC one with capacity for a stay alive, which is here. I've used these before in a couple of other projects. Nice and cheap, do what I want to do, and they're fairly easy to get hold of off eBay and the like. So this is the model. Just get to the motor by unclipping the cab. I've already added extra weight into the boiler, which is crammed in there in all possible ways and just sealed in place with super glue. And just there is a piece of insulating tape just to go over the motor, and just so I don't have any fried components, which, knowing my luck, is entirely probable. So with this, the wires to get to everything are fairly easy to access. So when I find a pointy thing, so you can see these two wires here, which may not show up particularly well. Got this wire here and this wire here. They come from the pickups straight onto the top of the motor, so unsoldering them and clearing everything up shouldn't be a problem. So right, so here's the decoder. I've already cut most of the wires to length. I'm not going to insult anybody's intelligence by showing me cut and strip some wires. So first off, I'm just going to solder the connections to the motor. So for anybody who's not too sure about doing this, the general rule is, when I find them, red and black to the track, orange and grey the other way. So I'm going to put the orange and grey wires to the motor first, just get some flux on each end and tin them. I'm not going to heat shrink these connections. I will do to the pickups on the chip, especially when my soldering iron starts working, which will be brilliant. There we go. So just tin them first, and there's the other one. Probably put a bit too much flux on there, but hey ho, at least it'll do the job properly. So I'm just going to cut those down a bit before I do. I don't need them 3 mile long a tin wire on the end of it. Okay, got a bit more solder, bit more flux rather. Bit of solder when I find it, making sure not to melt any muddle, and shift this back in frame a bit. One. Two. And that is the motor connections nicely held in place when my soldering iron stays where it's meant to be. Okay, so next job, it'll be to sort out the connections to the pickups. And again, just going to snip the capacitor out the way, which is fine because it's just in the way, just creates another thing to take up space. So I'm going to take these bits off down there. That should do it. Off you come, you silly thing. That's sorted. Just give me a minute, I'll just strip these. I'll come back to you in a moment. Got the pickup wires prepped. I accidentally cut them off a bit too far. This light is not brilliant because I've just whacked that up in my shed. You can just see there's one there and there's one there that's ready. So as before, when I get some solder on my iron, come here. There we go. Just tin that and tin that, and get the wires from the decoder, tin that, tin that. So this one I am putting heat shrink on, just for that extra bit of insulation and security, knowing that should anything accidentally touch, because it is going to be quite a tight fit in there. I'm going to hoik these wires out of the way. It's quite a tight fit in there, so if anything's moving about, there shouldn't be accidental shorting. There's that one, and finally just grab a bit more solder need to put that bit of heat shrink on first. You can go up there, and a bit more solder, and then we should get that in there. So that is the decoder pretty much wired in. All contacts going to the motor, going to the track. And I'm going to tidy these two function wires out of the way in a moment. I'm just going to put the heat shrink on. I'm going to put the heat shrink on down here, and then we shall get back to installing the Stay Alive and putting it all back together. Okay, so here we go again. Tied the orange, the yellow and white wires up because they're the function wires, which, as far as I'm not sure as hell not going to fit any functions on this little thing. So we've just got the Stay Alive ready for going on onto the decoder. With these chips, I believe it's just a case of blue to blue and black to black. Nice and easy. I think Lace DCC do a much larger Stay Alive. This is just a single capacitor. The much larger one is quite a few capacitors in together. I've got one of those in my class 40 that I've got a sound chip in, and that thing just it'll keep going about 20 seconds after the power's gone, so that really is good. For this one, I have a feeling this is all I'm going to be able to fit in. I would have liked a big one, but hey ho, needs must. So all I've done just before I start recording again, I've got the wires on the Stay Alive and the chip end tinned with some solder. I'm going to just heat shrink them on again when that one stays where it's meant to be. And then we should go from there. So let's grab a bit of solder on these lads. Let's get my iron from there. So I'm doing this all in frame. So blue to blue being the first one. Nice solid connection there. And lastly, come here, you silly thing. It is going black to black. So I'll just tack some black tack onto the bench, and so the Stay Alive will actually stay in place when I solder it. And now, there we are. So that is the Stay Alive all wired in. Okay, so I've got all the Stay Alive and everything wired in, and now the next challenge is to actually fit everything in this cab. So I've just briefly got it tacked over there so you can sort of see. I've not really got a lot of room to play with, and I haven't actually tried this yet, so whether it'll work or not remains to be seen. Anyway, so what I'm going to be using is this wonderful stuff, if you've not come across it, black tack. It's exactly what it says on the roll or the tin, and it's just industrial strength blue tack. Basically, it sticks anything. I've used it in my class 40 that I've been doing up. To hold the chip, the decoder, speaker and everything else in place. It's a bit more friendly than gluing, and you can redo it if you need to. So I think the way I'm going to do this is get a piece of black tack, and I'm going to put everything, because I've got some wire length to play with, I'm going to stick everything on the back wall of the cab, just in there if I can. Got some portholes, windows. You're not going to see much because this is a weathered model. Whether it was done by me or not, I don't think so. You will still see it, but I do have some 3D printed figures that I'm going to disguise everything with, or sort of put in place to try and hide it all. So first off, I'm just going to unpick that and just try a run, see if we can squeeze it in. Yes, it does fit just about. Again, not brilliant light, I'm afraid. This is just a rigged up test on the workbench. So what I'm going to do, just stick some black tack on the back of the decoder. And if I can, just squeeze that round onto the other side of the chip, onto the Stay Alive rather, and run it on 6 with my fingers. So idea being that everything will go together like so. So if we can just zoom in a bit, just like that. Okay, so let's have a go with getting this stuff actually in. So it's not going to be pretty, like I say. I'm just getting everything in so I can tidy it all up later. So that is now in-ish. Now it's just a case of popping all the wires back over the top and popping the cab back over the top, making sure I don't take any wires with it. And in theory, actually turn on the video, in theory, that is that. So there we go, you can just see everything's wired in. Cab's back in place. You can see it's a bit of a mess over that side. What I'll do is see if we can just prod the stairline back over there, because I've got room to play with over this side. And then somewhere, when I find them, I do have some 3D printed figures. I got them from Model U 3D. Really nice range of figures. And I've just got this couple of ones. I've got fireman with shovel holding shovel cab side, and this operating regulator. So in theory, that'll all be all well and good. So what I'm going to do now, just get the rolling road and the controller out. In theory, this should be set to address number 3 as is default, and we shall just see what happens. Okay, so here we are set up with the Pug on the rolling road. It's got the controller set to address number 3, as you can see there. That's fantastic production. And we're just going to see if this all works. So fingers crossed. So just starting now. And yes, there we go. So before I did this, I hadn't run this for quite a number of years. So I've run it on DC, gave it a good, stripped it all down and gave it a good service. And being such a short wheelbase, it is a key thing to do that, really. But this works quite nicely. And lift it off, see what happens with the stay alive. Okay, so no stay alive there apparently. Like I said, it is a really small stay alive, so whether that may be something to do with that, I don't know. Or I just need to adjust the CVs on this for the stay alive to work. But there we go, so that is a how-to on installing a DCC decoder into a Hornby Pug. I hope it was of use to somebody and you've not been annoyed too much by me waffling on. And yeah, there you go. See you later, folks.